Okay, so this is notes for CE Prep 13. And this kind of goes back to CE Prep 2. And I'm not going to take the time to go over all of that, but you'll need to remember things like sum is plus, difference is subtract, product, oops, sorry about that, is multiply, quotient is divide. I know right off the bat it talks about two consecutive even numbers. So if you recall from way back when, if we had two consecutive numbers, that was x and x plus 1, right? The first one would be x, and then the next number, consecutive numbers are like 3 and 4, right? They're right next to each other. Well, two consecutive even numbers would be like 4 and 6. So if the first one is x, how do we get to the next one? Well, we have to add 2 to that. So x plus 2. And so there's some things in here. They're all word problems, very similar to that CE Prep 2. And I'm going to work out a couple of them for you. And I'm going to use Desmos as my calculator. We'll see if I get disrupted here. This is the last day of exams before we go to Christmas break, and lunch is pretty soon. So hopefully we can get this done. But I know the first one says something like the product of two consecutive even integers is 624. Find the smaller number. Okay, well, we know that those two consecutive integers are x and x plus 2, and product means multiply. So we have x times x plus 2 is meant equals 624. So then we're simply going to solve that equation. So we're going to multiply x squared plus 2x equals 624. Well, because of the squared up there, this is a quadratic. And you can only solve a quadratic if it's equal to 0. Solve when equal to 0. So we're going to bring this guy over to the other side and make it a minus. And because this number is so big, probably the best thing to do is just go to the quadratic formula. Which would look, remember that's x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So we have negative 2 plus or minus, and this is x equals, right? Negative 2 plus or minus the root of b squared. Well, b is 2, so b squared is 4 minus 4 times a times c all over 2a. So here's why I love Desmos so much. We're going to kind of go to the other screen, and I'm just going to put all that in Desmos. Now, I have this on another sheet of paper, and I'm just going to transfer this into Desmos. Now, what I've already done in Desmos, I already have my quadratic formula for another problem. I can just type back up here and use these numbers. So I'm just going to change that to a 2. That's a 4 minus 4, because that's always there, times a 1. This is a negative 624. 624, and this is over 2. So that equals 24. And notice that quadratic formula is plus or minus, but if I put a negative in here, I get a minus 26. And the question is for positive integers, so I can't use a negative number. So I'm going to change that back to a plus. I get the 24. And so if I go back to my